Hi there, good evening, and welcome to the Tuesday Tune-In. This is an opportunity each week for us to think about a different topic and how it might be impacting on our lives. And today I am drawn to talk about negative thinking and the power that it can actually have over our lives in every aspect of our lives. So, first, I'd like you to think about how often in your day do you think or say something negative? So let's get clear on what that means, what are negative things. So it could be things like criticism, blame, or judgment. And if you're not sure about the thing, it often, nearly always, makes us feel yucky. So whether it's in the moment, or whether it is a delayed feeling. You know, sometimes when you get frustrated or angry and you kind of blow off steam and you might say some really harsh things and it really feels good in the moment because you've been able to vent and release that thing. But later, whether you're conscious of it or not, you might feel a bit crap about having gone down that path and felt those things and said what you said. Another one might be like around gossip. And gossip is a really easy one, and I think there's an idea out there that it doesn't matter if the people don't know about it, but we're really putting something very negative out into the world. And you know, sometimes we form friendships based on this ability to gossip and talk about other people, and I think like deep down that doesn't make us feel good actually, because it comes from such a yucky place of comparison and judgment and, you know, criticism. So back to that question, if you to think about your day, how often do you think negativity comes into your mind? So if you think about events that happen, maybe world events or things around you in your community, situations you might be in, think about your workplace, people in your life, when you watch the news, think about like every stage in your day. How often do you think those thoughts and the things that you say are negative? And then the big one is how often are the thoughts about yourself negative? That's a really, really big one, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. So if you could imagine your day as a pie, and it's broken up into positive, negative, and neutral in terms of thoughts and things that you say, where do you think you sit roughly? So that really takes some awareness to work that out, and I'm going to talk about a way that we can do that a little bit later. But I just want to share with you a quote. I had this book delivered today, which is The Wisdom of Sundays, and it's by Oprah actually, and it's full of quotes from all the beautiful people that she's interviewed, and I am really excited to dive into this. It's like a little personal development Bible. But I want to share with you a little thing by Jack Canfield on this topic. So he says, every time we are negative about someone else, we are actually affecting ourselves. And the thing that's important is every time you judge someone else, it's just a projection of your own self-judgment. Parts of ourselves we don't accept. Parts of ourselves we won't give permission to express. And so basically, the old thing is when you're pointing your finger at someone else, there's three fingers pointing back at you. And so I always tell people, whatever you focus on, you get more of. If I'm gossiping about someone that I'm judging or being negative about, then I'm actually creating more negativity inside of me, and I'm not focusing on what I want. So this is just a small example of how that negative thinking is really powerful. It actually determines the things that we feel about ourselves and the energy that we have inside of us and what we're putting out into the world. And I know you know, like from days where you've felt really positive, it's kind of like everything's in flow, you feel good about yourself, you don't notice little annoyances that come up in your day. And it's tricky to get clear on how negative we are. And I have been lucky enough to have some really beautiful mentors in my life kind of teach me some different ways to become aware of this. But I realized, like, as I rolled through the days, most of the thoughts that I had about myself were negative, you know, and like 90% of the thoughts. And when I was able to hook onto that and then kind of grow to love myself more and more, I was able to replace those thoughts. So they're still there. The lizard on the shoulder, monkey, whatever, never goes away, but he is so much smaller. That little voice is so much smaller. And I can catch myself if I'm having a really negative day or I'm feeling really down. I know what's going on and it's much easier to turn it around. And I tell you this because it's so possible. That's exactly where I was. So I'd love to share with you a little activity, and anyone that's done any of my programs or watched my videos may have heard this before. It's really powerful, and it was shared with me by a beautiful mentor called Heather, and I've heard other people speak about it as well. So this is a way for you to start thinking about your negative self-talk, and that will then flow into the negative thoughts, feelings, ideas, words that come out as well, and how to shift that into the positive. But our inner talk is something we can do something about right now. So this activity, it just goes for a day. You get a rubber band or a hair tie, a lackey, put on your wrist. And each time you notice yourself thinking something negative about who you are, what you do, that you're, not good enough, whatever it is, I want you to flick the rubber band, okay? So that's you getting awareness of how often that is happening for you. And should you be able to, like, especially if you work at a desk and you've got some kind of order around where your computer is and where you spend most of your time, get a little one of those like cards, just a sticky note, whatever, and see if you can note down how many times you have flicked the rubber band. So it's tricky to do. So maybe you could do it in different sections. You might be able to do like a morning one day, a lunchtime another day, an afternoon, if you don't think you can do it all in one day. But what it does, it gives you some power to notice just how much that negative thinking is going on in your mind. Because we know what's possible for us when we are thinking positive, like that's where the creativity is, that's where the love is, that's where the opportunity to be courageous and vulnerable is. It's so worth doing this. And I know that we all know. So it's got to start somewhere, and I think awareness is the first place to start that. Once you have that awareness, you then have the opportunity to start thinking about what thoughts you might like to replace those negative ones with. So you might not feel authentic about that right now, but just reflect on, if I'm always saying to myself, I look so crap in this thing, what would be a nice thing to replace that with? Something like, I love my body and I'm so grateful for what it allows me to do. It might sound really silly right now, but these are the things that you can swap in. And we're so powerful and we're so capable of doing it. I'm going to stop there, and I hope this is valuable to you in some way. And much love from me to you, as always. Mwah.